stakeholders. Now, I would request Mr. Shubham Desai to kindly share insights on the e-waste EPR framework. Over to you, Shubham ji.
Thank you, Unnati, for the introduction. So, can you just move to the slide? Yeah. So, firstly, let me introduce like to e-waste and the obligated entities which has to be get registered onto the CPCB portal. So everyone knows what is e-waste and how harmful it is into the environment and what damages it has done and it is doing to the environment. So with the help of EPR, CPCB has handed off a traceability of their sales data and to be into the compliance of the e-waste management rules that were introduced in 2022. So, so now we'll see the obligated entities which are like in which CPCB has mandated them to be registered onto the portal. So first is producer of fresh triple. So first is producer, in which there are two categories: the producer of fresh triple code and the producer of used triple code. So in this, the producers has to be registered onto the CPCB portal who sells the e-waste to who sells the e-waste in their brand name. After that, we come to the recycler part. The recyclers are also mandated to get registered onto the CPCB portal, refurbishers and the manufacturers. In this, the micro enterprises are exempted from the e-waste management rules as they are not being mandated right now to get registered onto the CPCB portal. Unnati, can we move on to the next slide, please? Uh, yeah, so in this slide, we can see that the rules for importer, like the question which was asked previously at the time of yeah. So now we'll talk about the implementation of the timeline, like how the EPR framework was initiated, when it was initiated, and when it started into the full-fledged framework. So in 2022, initially the EPR framework was announced by the Central Pollution Control Board that they are bringing the rules and regulations for the e-waste management rules, which was named as e-waste management rules in the year 2022. After in 2023, EPR registration came out. CPCB launched the EPR portal in which all the categories were mandated to get registered onto the CPCB portal, and the initial compliance phase was started. In 2024, RoHS enforcement was also bring a restricting of hazardous substances. So while making a product which is to be introduced into the Indian market, so all the producers manufacturers has to see that they are following the RoHS compliance rules. If the RoHS if the products are not into RoHS compliance, then it becomes an non-compliant thing, and and it cannot be introduced into the market. And in 2026, the full compliance phase, like quarterly returns filing of e-waste onto the portal, RoHS compliance and awareness session for everyone was started. After that, we can see that the triple E products and the categories. So CPCB has given seven categories of the products, in which it is IT and communication equipment, large and small equipment, electrical and electronic tools, medical devices, toys and sports equipment, laboratory equipments, and consumer electrical and electronic panels. So, so in total, there are 134 subcategories into this seven categories, but we have only taken few of them as an example. As we can see that the average lifespan of each and every triple E code is different. So the targets are generated onto the triple E codes and the lifespan. Yeah, Unnati, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah. So the rules for importing of triple E. Like like as we saw, there was one question of importing of machinery which but it is stuck into the customs. So the answer to that question is over here. So CPCB has told the CPCB has issued a notice to the custom offices that if something is imported, if some triple E code is imported into the Indian Ocean onto the Indian port, it can be cleared if it is for self use or uh, self use. Yes, so for that you can just submit the self declaration on the company's letterhead to the customs, show him that show him then this the notification from the CPCB. The consignment will be released on the spot, like there would be no questions asked on this. uh, Unnati, yes, next slide please. So into the e-waste management rules, that so in Schedule 3 and 4, the target calculations are divided into two parts. One for the established producers and one for the new producers. So established producers are those who are into the market from from a long time, and the new producers are those who have just started their sales and sales or importing into the market. So as we can see that in Schedule 3, based on the historical sales, that the formula is target is equals to quantity placed into the Indian market and into the percentage of the target. So the target percentages are derived according to the CPCB rules, and into the new producers thing, the formula for it is target is equals to current current quantity sold into the Indian market and the standard target percentage which was given by the CPCB. After that, from 2028-29, everyone like the new producers and the established producers will fall under Schedule 3 formula only, as they will become the established ones, and they don't need to follow the new producers target calculation. Unnati, next slide. Yeah. Unnati, I just need to go on to the target that EPR targets for e-waste. It's chapter 4. Yeah. So as I told you in the previous slide, established producers, so the target percentage for them is, so in 2023-24 it was 60%, in 24-25 it was same as 60%, from 25-26 70% of the target percentage has been started, and it goes till 26 to 27. In 27-28, 80% of the target calculation has been derived into the policy, and same in 28-29, there has been 80% of the target calculation in it. And for the new producers, so based on their 21-22 sale, 15% target calculation is being given to them, and so on. As we can see that target progression road in 23-24 it was 60, then it gradually grew to 20, in 25-26 it grew till 70%, and in 27-28 and 28-29 it became to 80%. Unnati, can you move back to this slide? Can you move forward? Yes. Yeah. So as I told you in the introductory part, the RoHS compliance of restricting hazardous substances. So CPCB has notified that when you are introducing a product into the market, there are 6 major substances which falls under hazardous waste. So you cannot go behind the so you cannot go beyond the percentage. For example, lead. So if the product is being introduced into the market, 0.1% is the maximum weight given by the CPCB. Like in product, only this much amount of lead can be added, and the compliance requirement for this is the mandatory testing by NABL, self-declaration of compliance is requirement. Random audits can be done by the CPCB authorized officers and corrective mandates for the failed products. And one thing to be noted that for completing the EPR target, non-compliant products cannot be used for EPR target achievement as it falls under a major non-compliance. If the audit is done by the CPCB, it can be a major non-compliance on the part of e-waste annual reporting. Yeah, Unnati, can you just go on to the next slide? Yeah, so one more certification which has been introduced by the CPCB is BIS certifications and product safety requirements. So BIS certification is a thing which all electronic products sold in India must be compiled with the Bureau of Indian Standards under BIS. So there has been one Indian standard which has been followed by the BIS. Like if you are introducing any kind of e-waste, IS 13252 has to, like the certification of IS 13252 has to be done there. So in this, it ensures the electronic equipment is designed to prevent electrical fire and mechanical hazards. And the mandatory products which are being categorized in this BIS format is LED lights, power adapters, IT equipment, some mobile phone and tablets, consumer electronics, switches and electrical accessories. So these are the few categories in which these BIS standards are mandate and the certification has to be there. If it is not there, then it will fall under an on compliance and you cannot introduce that product into the market. Yeah, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, so as it was earlier mentioned by Krunal sir, the environmental compensation. So what is environmental compensation? Environmental compensation is a kind of penalty which is charged by Central Pollution Control Board onto the registered and the non-registered entities. So what are the reasons that EC can be imposed on you? Firstly is non-fulfillment of EPR credits, EPR targets, false EPR certificates, and dealing with unregistered entities and operating as an unregistered entity, which is a major non-compliance, submitting misleading data. So for example, if we have registered for one triple E code at the time of registering on the CPCB portal, but after some times a new product is been introduced into the market by the same entity, but that triple E code is not added into the Central Pollution Control Board's portal, and if they find out, then EC can be charged onto the entity as it comes under the submitting of misleading data. And if there are 3+ violations, the registration can be cancelled. So like if the EC is charged into 3 parts. So like if the EC is charged for the first time and you fulfill that non-compliant thing and you fall into the compliant state, then 80% of the EC is returned to you. On the second time, 60% is returned, is been the EC amount is returned back to the entity, and at the third year, so it is 35%, and after that third violation, if again it is non-compliant, then 0% of EC charge will be returned, will be refunded back, and it can lead to the cancellation of the registration, which can be a major non-compliance, and after that CPCB will take actions on that. And so now we'll see what is the duties of the authorities. So like how things work. So firstly, Central Pollution Control Board is an entity who approves the EPR targets, issues these certifications and everything. After that, it comes to the State Pollution Control Board, issues a registration, revokes licenses, compliance part and audit part is done by them, and the Ministry of Environment, like who approves the national policies, monitors EPCB, SPCB, and the local bodies, that how the compliance parties are running and how compliant India is into the e-waste management rules. Unnati, can we move forward to the other slide, please? major industries non-compliance area. So what can lead to non-compliance into the e-waste rules which were introduced in 2022? Firstly, incorrect Ripple code classification. After that, it's misreporting sales data, fake EPR certificates, working with non-registered recyclers, missing RoHS documentations, and on-filing of annual returns. So the final date to file annual return for e-waste is 30th April. After that, CPCB will close that portal. So all the registered entities are being requested to file the annual return within 30th April uh, 2026. Moving forward, Unnati, can you just change the slide? So why why EPR compliance is your strategic advantage? It reduces environmental damage. So like preventing toxic leaching into this soil and water, protect ecosystems and public health, contribute to India's circular economy goal, build sustainable supply chains, ensure legal compliances, avoid environmental penalties. So this is why EPR compliance is required into each and every part of environmental and sustainability thing. So that was from my side. Kunal sir, would you like to take up on something?
Thank you so much, Shubham, for putting up such a wonderful presentation and giving an insights to the industry stakeholders. It was really nice to see the how detailing that you have put across to the stakeholders on once again, maybe for few of them to revise the entire part that they have been doing for years and years. But for sure, they would have found across something different that is expected to be done across from the compliance and the government regulatory perspective. Now, with the permission of the participants, I would like to